Excellent day, everyone. Welcome to All in One, One and All. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with you and to speak to you once again and to communicate certain tips, ideas, concepts, help us to flesh out certain areas in life so that we can actually reveal more of our inner peace and our joy and our abundance and let the prosperity flow. So I'm very excited and thrilled. The feedback has been wonderful. This week, one of my friends from medical school, Arlene. Hello, Arlene, if you're watching this video, thank you for shouting out and saying hello. Somebody had sent one of my videos to our alumni chat group from medical school. And, a bunch of them, were saying, I don't know what they said, but Arlene, thank you for your comments. I really appreciate that. And I'm really looking forward to sharing more tips, ideas with everybody that has been actually tuning in, around the world and embracing these teachings and, helping us to actually release more of our gifted nature. There's a lot of great things about each and every one of us. And we spoke somewhat about some of our greatness last week, and I shared an acronym about the word greatness. Some of you may have seen that. And I'm not sure if it was in the last video, but, God revealing eternal attributes, through noble, entrepreneurial soul serendipitously, it's an amazing thing that we're doing here. We're releasing that nature that's natural. There's greatness that's natural inherently in every one of us. And the topic that I chose for this next 4 series is to look at fear, and to look at fear because the things that we actually don't know about, the things that remain unknown to us, carry the fear of the unknown. So when we know something and we've shone the light of our awareness on it, understanding comes, and wherever there's understanding, fear disappears. So it's very important to actually always shine light into areas that we are not sure of, areas that we may feel constricted by and feel nervous about. We should always seek to shine light of our understanding in these areas. And when we do so, we literally remove the cloud and the shroud around it, and therefore relieve ourselves of any sense of fear associated with it. So, as we look at the idea of fear, one of the things about fear is that it never lives in the present moment, right? Fear never lives presently with us. It only lives in our imagination. So it's always the useless use of the imagination that results in a feeling of fear. Some fears are, useful in the sense of it helps to protect the body from harm. 2 of them that we, are born with, according to psychologists, in terms of the physical body, is the fear of death and the fear of heights. So there's a natural tendency for us to fear death of the body so that we protect the body, right? And also fearing heights so that we don't drop down and hurt ourselves. So those are, but the other ones that people have started to define, like fear of this, fear of closets, fear of fear of relationships, fear of money, loss. We have a lot of different things that we have given labels to, but ultimately it comes down to one core fear that over time I'm going to seek to help us to really divest ourselves of so that we don't carry that around with us. And the bottom line base fear that people tend to try to deal with in many different ways is really ultimately the fear of death. That's really the core fear that we tend to branch out. It branches out into many different ways, and we call it different names, right? It even shows up sometimes as anger, irritation, bitterness, resentment, but it always boils down to that underlying fear. And once we have divested ourselves of that, then we become our inner sense of being cool and okay starts to reveal itself. So looking at fear, for what it is, it's an imagination. Last topic I mentioned that if a car is coming your way, so a car is coming your way, right? It's not the hitting of the car that makes you afraid. It's the thought that if the car hits me, what could happen? That's what generates the feeling of fear. So the feeling of fear is something that we imagine. That's why it says false evidence appearing real. So it's an apparent situation that we have to imagine to experience fear. Because in the present moment, there's nothing that's really in the present that is going to result in fear. The emotion is always going to be a result of a projection into the future. So when you learn this and you learn to understand how it works, then you can actually eliminate some of the ones that are not of value, that you really can't use in a positive sense. Some of them can be used to propel us initially, For example, you may be fearing losing money, so you work harder, to produce enough money so that you have money to take care of yourself. It's good to start there. It's okay to start there, but we don't want to stay there. And this is why. If we keep hanging out in fear of loss, because most human beings are motivated by the fear of loss, not the anticipation of gain, which means that is what they're about to lose that moves them, as opposed to what they stand to gain that moves them. Meaning that they're not moving towards vision, they're moving based on pain. And the thing about life is that pain will push us until vision pulls us. So we need to become in touch with vision and not be moved by pain. Whenever we're moved by pain and fear, we are open to being manipulated. We remain open to people manipulating us. The media does a great job with fear contagion. And there's always stuff about worrying about this is happening, that's going to happen. And they use fear to control people and move people in a certain direction. The fear of loss. If you don't buy this by a certain date, they remove the benefit that they were going to offer. And they use this as a way to push human beings to behave in a particular manner. So for us to mature out of this, we have to come to realize what fear really is. And what it is something that we do to ourselves based on imagining a possible outcome in the future. So if you learn then that it's you that's doing it to yourself and it's not the environment that's doing it to you, it's not what's happening around you immediately in the present moments that's doing it to you, it's how you're thinking about some future outcome that's resulting in the emotion of fear. And therefore, if you start to focus more on your present moment through practices like meditation, affirmative prayer, and you start to become more aware of the truth about yourself and become more present with your thinking, your thought process is present. It doesn't mean that you don't plan, or you may have plans that you want and goals that you're going to work on in the future, but you're no longer attached to the outcome. Because when you become attached to the outcome of the goal, then if the goal doesn't happen, it generates a sense of feeling anxious and therefore fearful that it will not manifest or it won't happen the date that you plan for it, because we're so attached to it. But the more we become present, the more we become aware of ourselves here and now in this moment, then the idea of fear in the future starts to fall away from us. And as we become more free of that, we become less open to manipulation. The people who live in the state of, last week when we spoke about victims, right? When you live in that state of feeling victimized, feeling like the environment is against them, people are against them, things are against them, then those individuals are open to being manipulated. Now we need to mature to that into a higher phase. In a higher phase, doesn't mean that you're completely free of fear yet, but this higher phase now is where you become more relaxed. You're starting to set goals, you're starting to have your objectives, you're working towards them steadily. You're not attached to the outcome. You're setting your goals. You're looking at your spiritual life. You have goals there, your personal body. You have goals there, your family life. You have goals there, your business, the community. And you start to live a life of purpose. You start to live a life of setting goals. As you accomplish a goal, you're looking for the next one. You accomplish that goal, you're looking for the next one. And you're not doing it because you're seeking to feel good about the accomplishment of the goal. You're doing it because you're releasing more of your gifted nature. The thing about our nature, and this is why goal setting is important, is our nature is a multiplier. The natural state of our being multiplies. The being that we are is always multiplying, it's always expanding, it's always becoming more. So if we act in opposition to it, which means that we try to stay the same, then we eventually experience some level of pressing from inside. We feel like something is about to break open, and we start to feel that inner sense of anxiety and anxiousness, because the spirit within us is trying to expand and we're trying to contain it. We're not designed to be small. We're actually designed to be grand and magnificent. That's our natural design. Our natural design is grand and magnificent. So if we try to stay small, what ends up happening eventually is that the emergence of our being, the emergence of the being that we are, creates emergencies. All right, meaning that there are things that break down in our life so that the spirit within us can start to continue to expand. There's this gentleman that wrote this book called Purpose Driven Life, right? Rick Warren. And he said this in the book, that sometimes Jesus stands at the door and knocks, but sometimes Jesus stands at the door and bombs, right? My Buddhist friends and Hindu friends, our Muslim friends, I know Muslims and Jesus are friends, but we're all friends, right? So I'm not stuck on, one religion or the other. Just to maybe share this at this point, my mindset is open. I'm all inclusive. I embrace all different religions. I look for the truth in each and every one of them. So I'm not an against person. You know, I am a for person, and I'm for truth. You know, I'm for abundance. I'm for peace. I'm for love. I'm for joy. You know, and I'm for us being able to get along with each other and create and manifest a world that works for the highest and best in each and every one of us. So as we're doing this conversation with each other to liberate ourselves from that feeling of fear, because fear inhibits, it obstructs, it literally blocks in the magnificence, the greatness that's within each and every one of us. And what we're seeking to do is to set that free. And one of the things that's necessary to set it free is to, one, just confront fear. You know, look at it for what it is. Understand how it is that the emotion of fear is produced. Recognize that it's actually us doing it to ourselves through our imagining a future outcome that we may not like. Right? You know, and in so doing, we have produced the emotion of fear. So in recognizing that we're the ones doing it to ourselves, we get our power back. Right? And then we leave ourselves more open. Also, we remove, over time, you remove the possibility of outside forces manipulating our behavior because of being afraid. Right? Whenever we stay in the state of being afraid, we are open to being manipulated by others. Right? Because the fear of loss would be more important to us than the anticipation of gain, which means that we're no longer moving for vision. We're moving because of the pain in our life. We're moving to avoid pain and maybe gain some pleasure. Right? We're moving to avoid pain and maybe gain some pleasure, but most people move to avoid pain. You know, I've seen it in business. You know, anytime, you know, there's a fear of loss, you know, if you notice when a sale is about to end, that's when everybody's rushing, right? Because it's about to end, the fear of loss, right? Nobody's rushing at the beginning when they had the opportunity to gain. It's when they're about to lose the opportunity, that's when people move. And that's when you know that those people are directed by fear, right? You know, a lot of people have invested, unfortunately, faith in fear. They have faith in the negative instead of faith in faith. You know, and it's just, you know, fear is really just misdirected faith, because you have to have faith to be fearful. You have to put your faith in what you're afraid of for it to have power over you, because the thing doesn't have power of itself. Remember, it's an imagination. It doesn't have the power to do anything. It's just what you're imagining that gives it power. So it's you that's putting power into what you're imagining and then feeling afraid and then allowing that to have power over you. Think about how silly that sounds, right? Imagine something and then give it power over yourself. Okay? So we can free ourselves then, knowing that these are just false imaginings. You know, there's a teaching. I remember the scripture, you know, about vain imaginings. Yeah, vain imaginings. Right? We have these vain imaginings. And we use these vain imaginings and use these vain imaginings to have power over ourselves. So we can relieve ourselves of this by understanding this in principle and then putting it into practice. Right? Starting to know practice where, you know, instead of investing your energy into the negative outcome, instead of looking at it, what's the worst thing could happen here, start to think about what's the best thing that could happen here. You know, what's the best that could come from this? What's the best that could come from that? And we retrain our nervous system to be one of fear, to be one of faith, to one of expansion, to one of growth, to one of releasing more of the inherent greatness that we are. And we move now from that stage one victim stage of, you know, looking at things as being against us now, to recognizing that we have this greatness within us. And then now we're ready to release that greatness. We're ready to expand that greatness everywhere that we go. You know, one of the words that I found very useful in understanding how to release this greatness is the word humility. Humility is a funny word. You know, in the sense that some people think, you know, if you're living in a way that's, you know, expressing greatness and you're living a great life, you know, then, you know, you're not being humble, right? You know, and then the idea of humility is that you're supposed to be quiet and calm and cool. And you know, if you have a big house or a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, you know, you need to be, you know, cool. and if you're confident and you're certain about yourself, you know, people will say, well, you know, he's not being humble. You know, when I look at the word humility, you know, there's two things there in the word. One of the first things that comes to mind is having unlimited magnificence, right? And, you know, humility is H-M-I-L-I-T-Y, right? So having unlimited magnificence inside of you, letting it transform yesterday. So humility, right, to me is having the knowledge that we have this unlimited magnificence within us, letting it transform yesterday. The other thing that we could do with that is to hinder. Humility could literally cause you to hinder the unlimited magnificence, right, inside, instead of letting it transform yesterday. So you could literally use it to hinder yourself, meaning that you could become humble, abandoning your greatness, forgetting that you have the greatness on the inside, and then living like a small, constricted life, thinking that you're being humble. So humility, has two dimensions to it. It's recognizing that we have this unlimited magnificence within our being and expressing it, allowing it to come to full bloom. Right? Just imagine that the acorn, that's, in the acorn, the oak tree, that's in the acorn. So you have the acorn, right? The seed of the acorn, and the oak tree is inside, and the acorn says, man, I need to stay humble. I don't want to let this big oak tree out so everybody could see how great this oak tree is that I have within me. Right? Just imagine if the oak tree did that, right? That's what we do to our greatness. We have this greatness that's inside of us, and some of us literally suffocated, trying to get along with what people think and what people have to say, and rob ourselves of the opportunity to express this grandeur that's within our own being. So, hopefully, today we had some ideas of helping us to flesh out the idea of fear. Next two talks, I want to go a little bit past talking so much about fear now, so that we have encapsulated what fear is, I believe. And now what we want to do now is to move into really expressing what's within us, expressing our gifts and our talents and our capacities, our resourcefulness, our innovativeness. Each and every one of us have so much to give and bring to this world. All of us came here loaded. You'll have like luggage carts of greatness just packed up within us. Like you have a long train of like great stuff behind you. That's each and every one of us. And we have that within us. And we're here to deliver it, to set it free, to express it so that we can raise this world and change this world, and live from the highest and best in each and every one of us. Man, I'm fired up and excited about life. I pray that you are. I'll see you and I'll talk to you guys next week, right? God bless you all. I'll see you at the top. You deserve to be there. Bye for now. For those of us who enjoyed this video, or even if you didn't fully enjoy it, but leave your comments, right? Please share it with friends, family, individuals that you'd like to actually learn about what we're talking about. And please subscribe to this channel as well. Our goal is to really help more of us as human beings on this planet rise and shine and reveal more of our inner peace, joy, and reveal more abundance. All right. So thank you for your comments. I'm looking forward to reading them. I'll seek to respond to them. I'm having a great time. I hope that you are. God bless you all.